السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أنبياء الله جميعا وعلى سيدهم وخاتمهم حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين وعلى سيدنا ومولانا الإمام الحجة بن الحسن المهدي المنتظر عجل الله تعالى فرجه وسهل مخرجه. One of the most frequently asked questions regarding marriage, and maybe tonight is the last episode on this series of marriage and family, is that what do you think of intra-faith marriages? Marriages that take place between the schools of thought in Islam, the followers of madahib and madahib al-Islamiyya, the schools of thought. Someone from this tradition, a Sunni Muslim, a Shia Muslim, marrying another Sunni Muslim or Shia Muslim. This is one question. The other question is, what do you think of Muslims and non-Muslims? Someone who is Muslim who wants to marry a non-Muslim. What do you think? Is this okay? Is this acceptable in Islam or not? In fact, there is no pattern here. From my own experience, I cannot say every intra-faith or interfaith marriage is successful. Neither I can say every intra-faith or interfaith marriage is unsuccessful. In fact, it's a case by case. Some of these cases are very successful indeed. They work, they produce, they thrive, they raise good family, good children. Some of them fail. So it all depends on the character, the personality, the openness, the culture, the understanding of the people involved. The more they are tolerant, the more they are open to the others, the more they are educated, the chances that this marriage and this relationship is going to work. When it comes to religion, let me answer this question, both of them religiously first, from a legal point of view. Marriages between Shias and Sunnis are accepted as long as someone is not a bigot or a radical in his views, or he's not a hater of Ahlul Bayt. Someone who's not Nasibi. Nasibi means someone who hates Shia Islam. He hates Ahlul Bayt. He hates Imam Ali alayhi salam. And many of those people, we've seen them. A clear example of those people are ISIS. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, these terrorist organizations, they consider the Shia Muslims to be infidels. Sometimes they say they are worse than infidels. They are worse, quote unquote, worse than Jews and Christians. And they murder them. They say their blood is lawful. Whenever you capture them, without any hesitation, murder them. When you murder them, you are getting closer to God. And they've been doing this for the last 20 years, more than 20 years, 30 years. In countries like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, other places, here in America. So such person, of course, you are not going to marry a person who's radical, who does not respect your faith, who does not respect your religion. I've seen examples in this community, in this very community, that a Shia lady married to a non-Shia person from North Africa, And then after a period of time, he kept telling her, you are not a Muslim. Your faith is not Islamic. You are worshipping idols. You don't worship God. And this marriage ended up in a disaster. Because in the beginning, when they are in love, in romance, and romance is very dangerous. What romance does is that takes rationality away from you. It takes reason away from you. It covers your reason. It blinds your reason, disables your reason. So you love a person, you love him, and you don't think about the consequences tomorrow. You don't think about how, if we're going to have kids, are we going to raise those kids in agreement with each other? Are we going to respect each other? Are we going to stay with each other for a long period of time? People who are in this blind romance, they don't think about the sustainability of the marriage. They don't think about it, the continuity. All what they think about is the moment, that particular moment. They don't think about tomorrow. They say, as long as we love each other, we want each other, we don't care. He's from this background, she's from that background. There could be clashes between them. They don't think about the consequences. And my friends, we live in a real life. We are not angels. We are still not in paradise. It's a long time to go to paradise. We are here on a planet Earth. And this planet Earth, we are surrounded by desires, by prejudice, by ignorance sometimes, by some people who are not normal. They have psychological, mental issues, so you have to be very careful. When you think about marriage, don't think about today, only today. We love each other. How about 10 years from now? Are you going to still love each other? Are you sure about that? Or not? If you are not sure, then don't get married. Continuity of the marriage and family is more important than the beginning of it. Beginning of it is sweet. You bring two individuals together, male and female, keep them 1 hour with each other, they fall in love with each other. 1 hour, 60 minutes. But is this really love? You call it love? Love is equitable to sacrifice, to giving, to staying loyal, to be able to undergo many challenges, not to leave the family, not to break out easily, to be patient, to be committed, to be forgiving. If these elements are missing, then that type of love is dangerous. Stay away from it. Put reason before emotions. Put your brain before your heart. Think about protecting your family in the future. Not just now, we love each other. I'm thinking about her and she's thinking about me and we dream about each other and we go and we have fun. Tomorrow, there is no more fun. Tomorrow when you come back from honeymoon, you have to work, you have to pay the bills. Tomorrow you have kids, you have to raise these kids, their health care, their schooling, their challenges. It's not a big fun. It's a big responsibility. You have to be prepared for it. This is one issue. The second issue is that today, when two people, they marry each other, they are individuals, but tomorrow they're going to be a family. Today they agree that we love each other. Okay, you are a Shia, I'm a Sunni, you are a Muslim, I'm a Christian, we can get together, but tomorrow, when you have a child, when you have a son, when you have a daughter, when you have 2 or 3 or less or more, are they going to go to the mosque or the church? Are they going to go to a Sunni mosque or a Shia mosque? Are they going to pray this way or that way? These things matter. At the end of the day, we speak about unity, yes, and we love to be united. We love to be one family. But then there are differences in the details. So which details we follow? Which one is right and which one is wrong? And sometimes the two individuals involved in marriage, they are okay with each other. They have tolerance and understanding for each other. But their relatives, they don't have understanding. In many cultures, the family and the extended family and the parents and the cousins and the siblings and the aunts and the uncles, they interfere in your marriage. So you may not have a problem with your spouse, but your extended family, they have a problem. And I have seen this example. Two people, a Shia and Sunni, they got married. They were okay. They were okay with that. They had no problem. But the grandmother, not the mother, the grandmother, mashallah, she had a problem with Shia Islam. And she kept intruding in her grandson's life, intruding and fabricating a story and putting him down that you are marrying someone who's not a Muslim. And after 1 year or even less than 1 year, that marriage was dismantled and broken and ended up in separation and divorce because the grandmother was intruding and interfering in their life. And you cannot stop it. This is their culture. This is their culture. You have to change the whole culture. In another case, the man and women, they were in agreement, but the lady, she was from a different tradition. The boy was Shia Muslim, she was not Shia. She was okay to marry him, he was okay to marry her. The father said to his daughter, no, I will give you in marriage to a Jew or a Christian, but not to a Shia. This is exactly what he said to her. I'm ready that you marry a Jew or a Christian, but not a Shia. Why? If you are so tolerant and you give your daughter to a Jew who goes to the synagogue and to a Christian who goes to the church, what is your problem with a Shia? This is called ignorance, jahl. Ignorance. Negative stereotyping. He hears something about Shia Islam. He does not read, he does not research. Even he doesn't go to a Shia mosque and ask a Shia scholar, what is your religion? What is your identity? What is your, tell me. He doesn't. Right away. Shias are worse than, according to them, quote unquote. This is what we hear. Shias are worse than Jews and Christians. So there are challenges here. And this is a reality. And we still live on a planet Earth. We are not in paradise that, our grudges and our hate and our prejudice and our biases are going to be cleansed. We are still on Earth. Still on Earth. Some of these marriages work. They are very productive. They are very peaceful. Some of them do not work. And some of them, who is the casualty in these marriages, in these types of marriages, when it doesn't work? The kids. The kids are the casualty. They are torn between this person and that person. And they get confused. And some of them, they say, you know what? I'm neither a Shia nor a Sunni. I'm an atheist. When they see parents are not in agreement, they don't respect each other, they renounce their religion. They run away from the family. So here we have to be very careful. Some of these marriages, they work. They work because it is based on understanding and tolerance. It is based on logic, not just emotions. Logic. If you have strong personality, if you are very educated, you may invite your spouse to your tradition, but this is not the case with many. It's not the case. In some cases, you see the Shia himself, the Shia Muslim himself or herself are non-practicing. If you are not practicing, how you can invite someone to your faith? You have to practice it. You have to believe in it first. You have to embrace it first in order for you to invite others to it. Otherwise, you fail. If you know nothing, if you are born Muslim, born Shia, born Sunni, and you know nothing about it, you would not be able to invite. You won't be able to invite others. You won't be able to convince them. Some of these marriages, intra-faith marriages between Shias and Sunnis, were successful because either both or one of them were very educated. And they were sitting together, they sit together and they discuss based on logic, based on evidence. Bring evidence, bring me evidence. Don't tell me I heard this from my mother or my father. This is our evidence. If you can bring me something from this book, then I accept. But if you bring me a fairy tale from your great-great-grandmother, superstition that she heard from her own ancestors, then you are not going to convince them. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ. Islam, and specifically Shia Islam, the school of Ahl al-Bayt, it rests on logic, on aql, and burhan, evidence, from this book and from the authentic hadith of the Prophet, the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is regarding the Shia-Sunni marriage. If there is no danger involved, specifically with the kids tomorrow, if they have understanding and tolerance, yes, I think this is the best way to spread the school of Ahlul Bayt. If the husband, if the wife, if the one who is Shia Muslim is educated, he can or she can, with two tools, invite the other side to the school of Ahlul Bayt. And I'm not shy to say that we must invite people to the school of Ahlul Bayt, because I believe this is the way, this is the tradition. This is what the Prophet said, you have to follow after me. The Prophet, the consensus of the entire Muslim Ummah community, they all accept this hadith that the Prophet said, I'm going to die, but I'm leaving behind two weighty things, two important things. Kitab Allah, the book of God, this is my legacy. The second, وَعِتْرَةِ أَهْلَ بَيْتِ, my family, Ahlul Bayt. And who is his family? Open Sahih Muslim, Muslim ibn al-Hajjaj al-Qushayri. This is his full name, Sahih Muslim. He says, the Ahlul Bayt are not the wives of the Prophet. No, Ahlul Bayt are the fundamental members. Because he says, Ibn Abbas says, the wife comes and goes. Tomorrow she's your wife. Tomorrow maybe she's not your wife, unfortunately. Who are the fundamental members of the household here? He says, Ali, Fatima, Hassan and Hussein. Those are the fundamental members of Ahlul Bayt. So the Prophet said, I'm going and leaving behind these two, the Quran and my family. Follow them. Follow them. And if you choose to follow someone else, then this is problematic. And follow does not mean love. Many people argue, okay, I love Imam Ali, I love Fatima, I love Hassan, I love Hussein. I know you love. Nobody can afford to hate Imam Ali or Fatima to Zahra or Hassan and Hussein. Nobody afford to. If you hate them, then the Prophet says, if you hate them, you are not a Muslim. If you hate me and my family, you are not a Muslim. This is what he says in Bukhari and Muslim and these Sunni sources. But love is not enough. Why? Because this book says, God says, قُلْ, say to your community, O Muhammad, say to your community, إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهِ فَاتَّبِعُونِي. If you truly love God, then follow God. If you truly love, follow. You have to follow. Show me, how do you love? You love and you don't follow? This is not a true love. You have to follow. So here in this country, in America, there is a growing phenomena. Let's come to the second subject, which is marrying a non-Muslim. Many of our kids, they are born and raised in this country. Their parents, they come from overseas, from different countries, from the Middle East, from Asia, from Africa, from other countries. The kids are born here, raised here, educated here. If you ask him or her, where are you from? He says, America. born here in this country. If you ask the father, he tells you Afghanistan, Lebanon, Iraq, India, Egypt, Syria. But if you ask the children, they say, no, I'm American, American born. This is my land. This is my home. Yes, maybe Egypt, Syria, India, Iran, these are my second home, my ancestors' home, but this is my home. America is my home. And they go to school here, they go to work. At the school, they see all type of people, all cultures. When they work, they see all types of people, and they fall in love with their co-workers, with their friends, classmates. And maybe they fall in love with someone who's not from their culture, neither from their religion, nor from their race. Different race, different color, different culture, different religion. So he comes home and he tells his mother, I love this lady. And the mother says, who? He says, Tracy, my friend, my classmate. She says, Tracy? I preserved your cousin in Afghanistan, Shabnam. She's waiting for you. You are telling me Tracy? This is unacceptable. No, your cousin is waiting for you. He says, no, I don't know my cousin. I haven't even seen my cousin. I know this. She's my friend. We work together. We study together. We relate to each other. We respect each other. We love each other. And then you have a big fight in the family. And this is what I constantly see in our society. Parents, they argue that you must marry your cousin from your village in India, in Lebanon, in Egypt. We have to ship her with DHL here, or ship him. In some cases, we ship the male cousin from these countries. And he arrives here, and we get him, he's a fab, we get him a green card, driver's license. He goes to study language, and then you have to get married, happily ever after. But the son says, no, I don't want my cousin. I don't want anyone from back home. I know this person. I've been talking to this person for some time. I trust this person. We love each other. So what do we say in this case? People come to me, and I really don't know what to say. Parents, on the one hand, they are very serious. They are very angry, frustrated. Look what my son, what my daughter did. This is unacceptable in my culture. And the daughter says, I didn't do something wrong. We want to get married. We are not doing something illegal. I respect my religion, but I want to marry the person that I know. And sometimes parents, they disavow their children. They tell them, if you marry this man, we don't talk to you. You are not one of us. You don't come and see us. We don't attend even your wedding. We are not coming to your wedding. Either you choose between him or us. They put their kids in a very difficult situation. Either you go with him, you don't see us, or you stay with us, you don't see him. There is no compromise. And I've seen some weddings, it takes place, parents are not there. Parents who are supposed to be the closest one to their kids, they are missing. Where is your mother? Where is your father? They don't like to come. They are unhappy with this marriage. And imagine a marriage begins with this drama. This is the beginning of it. You imagine what the end would be. And it's not nice. This is definitely not nice, because kids, they need to have the support, the blessings, the encouragement, the presence of their parents in their wedding, in their life, in their marriage. And I have seen some incidents, these are not normal, they are very rare, that even after 20 years of marriage, the father refuses to see his daughter and her grown-up kids. Now she's a mother, she has kids. He says no, because she got married without my permission, without my blessings. And it has bad psychological repercussion on both sides, on the children and on their parents. So what do we do here? Islam says you have to be rational. You have to be logical. You have to be reasonable. Stay away from prejudice. Some of these marriages, they work. Some of them do not work. Some of these marriages with non-Muslims, even if she converts to Islam, it doesn't work. Why? If the husband wants to stick to his culture and she wants to stick to her culture, it doesn't work. But if they put respect for each other above everything else, there is a mutual understanding, there is a mutual respect. My race is not better than your race. Your culture is not better than my culture. We are both human beings. We love each other. We decided to establish a family. So we have to compromise. We have to work together. You are not above me, neither I above you. No one is above the others. We are equal. If there is strong language of respect and love and appreciation and assistance and sacrifice, they're going to win. They're going to win. Even if you put a black next to a white. One of them is black, one of them white. If they respect each other, they don't have a prejudice, they don't have egoism, they're going to win. But if they allow prejudice to creep in and they constantly brag about their culture and their family and their race and their color, then definitely they're going to have a problem and it is not going to work. And what attracts, my friends, what attracts people to Islam is not really your money, neither your only education or your home or your property. What attracts them is akhlaq. Akhlaq, your inner beauty. If you have inner beauty, you can attract people to your faith. But if you don't have that inner beauty, nothing can attract them. And you're going to leave deep scar in their mind and their heart. So it all depends on the Muslim side. Do you have the capacity to attract them to your madhab, to your school of thought, to your religion, or you can't? If you don't have, then please don't get married. Stay away from it. Because you're going to lose your family, your spouse, and ultimately you're going to lose your children. This is a big responsibility. Sometimes, my friends, marriages with someone who's too far from you, from a different continent, from a different race, works, but marriage with your first cousin does not work. I've seen this. Marriage with someone who's from your family, your tribe, your race, your color, your culture, your food, doesn't work. Doesn't work. But when you marry someone 10,000 miles away from you, but you have a shared language of respect and appreciation and humanity, it works. It works. So don't tell me we are from the same village. It's not necessarily. Doesn't necessarily work if you are from the same village or same race or same nationality. Maybe sometimes it works. There is no guarantee that it will work. And sometimes it doesn't. It all depends on the personality of both. Allah made us in a way, we the humans, we have such an amazing capacity, we the humans. We have a heart that this heart, you can get along with someone completely different from you, completely different in every aspect. But you share one thing, one common denominator, and that is insaniya, humanity. If you share this insaniya, this humanity, you can live with that person. You can live with that person. But if this insaniya, this humanity is missing, even if she is from your village, your family, your culture, your language, so close to you, she has been your neighbor for 20 years, this marriage is not going to work. Because this important, common, fundamental denominator is missing, which is insaniya, which is being true human, is missing. It's missing. Marriage nowadays has become the most difficult enterprise. Not easy. It's easy to buy a house. It's easy to, not in Irvine, of course, no. Buy a house somewhere else. It's easy to go to school. It's easy to establish a business. But it's not easy to be on the same page with a good partner. It's not easy. It has numerous challenges, and you have to live up to that responsibility. We have to grow, and we have to ask God during these nights, the last nights of Ramadan, to give us, if we are still single, not married, to enable us to find a person that we can grow together with him or her. You can grow. Spiritually, you can grow together, not just physically. Spiritually and morally, you grow with that person. You grow together. Nothing more beautiful in this life than finding a human being where you can find common grounds and you can understand each other and you can grow together and face these challenges. And if you are already married, ask Allah to keep this peace in your family. Because peace, sometimes we take it for granted. We say, oh, we've been together 10 years, 20 years. So the husband takes her for granted and the wife takes him for granted. But no, there is no guarantee for that continuity. You have to work for it. You have to earn it every single day. Don't take anything for granted. Don't take your family, your marriage, your spouse for granted. Thinking that she has been patient with me 20 years, she will be patient another 30 years, even if I don't do anything. No. I've seen divorces here between a husband and wife. They've been together 50 years. Believe me, 50 years. 60 years sometimes. After 60 years, they petition for divorce. Tell them, why do you petition? Israel is here at the door. Don't need to. They say, no, not even one more day with this person. I can't. It happens. Why? Because they take each other for granted. Don't take your spouse for granted. Don't. Don't take any family member for granted. Neither your kids. Sometimes your kids, you take them for granted. You think they are going, even if you put them down, even if you disrespect them, abandon them, they're going to be yours. But all of a sudden, your son writes you a letter. Dad, you are not my dad anymore. I don't want to be your son anymore. I don't recognize you as my father anymore. And he leaves all of a sudden. And then the father comes to me, why did my son leave me? I didn't do anything. No, you took him for granted. You disrespected him. You are putting him down. You are not present in his life. You are nothing. To your son, you are nothing. So he left you. He's trying to find another father figure elsewhere. So don't take your wife, neither your husband, for granted. Always work to get together, to enrich the family, to enrich this relationship. Sometimes this relationship needs more than money. More than money. It needs commitment. It needs respect. It requires acknowledgement. It requires recognition. Don't we give sometimes the recognition plaque to some people here, recognizing their service, their help? We give it from time to time, you go get it for $50, $1,800, a plaque. You give it to some people here. But in the marriage, it's not about this plaque. It's about yourself, your heart, your mind, You put your soul into this marriage. You respect your spouse. You sacrifice. Sometimes it takes that you have to take a vacation. Be by yourself. Stay away from city. Stay away from the rest of the kids, the family. You need to take a break. You need to speak to each other. You need to hold hands together. Go somewhere remote, in a mountain, in a cave, somewhere, in an island, and get lost for two weeks. And disconnect your phone. Don't speak to anyone. And work on your relationship. Work on your relationship. We have to work on it. This is how we keep the marriage thriving and successful. This is how we keep the intimacy. And God wants us to be with each other forever. Not only here, not only in this life. God says, I want to see you continuing your journey in the hereafter. Did I tell you the story of that Imam who was saying this on the pulpit in one of the Arab countries? He said, I was telling people that, inshallah, those who are believers, mu'mineen, husband and wife who are believers and observants, they're going to be together in paradise. He says, all of a sudden, one man stood and he left. He says, I saw him next week. I said to him, Hajji, why did you leave? He said, Sayyid, you are telling me I cannot tolerate her here in dunya. She wants to chase me to Jannah. But if you have good relationship with your spouse, believe me, you want her, you want him to chase you to the hereafter. I know many husbands and wives, they write in their will that we want to be buried next to each other. They purchase 2 graves from now, 20 years before their death, 30 years. Because even at the grave, they want to be neighbors next to each other. This is how they love each other. And there are, of course, some husbands and wives, they run away from each other. They run away from each other. Because it is Ramadan, I conclude with this story. The story of a sheikh who leads a mosque, but he didn't have a good relationship with his wife. So he wasn't Sayyid, don't get any bad thoughts. He was sheikh, white turban. So one day he got into a fight at home with his wife just before the Friday prayers. Before the Friday prayers, you have to have peace of mind. You have to think about your sermon, prepare it in your mind, rehearse it. You don't want anyone to give you a phone call. You want to be by yourself. This man, he had a fight with his wife just before he left to the mosque. So he came to the mosque and he decided that the Friday sermon has to be dedicated against women and how bad women are. So he went to the pulpit and he started saying, those women, they are mentally challenged, this and that, and they have all the defects. Don't consult with them. Don't, treat them equally. Don't trust them. Don't. So he really made a huge uproar in the audience. And the audience, many of the mosques in the Muslim countries are only for men. There are no women, especially in the Gulf states. You know that? There is no space for women, only for men. This is one of the problems we have. As if women, they don't need religion. Only men who need religion and prayers. So the whole masjid was filled with men. And all those men, they had problems with their wives. So he said, let's do voting. Who agrees with what I said? Stand. So the entire mosque, they stood. They agree with his speech. Except one man was sitting in the back, he did not stand. He said, look at this poor man. All of you agree with me. Only this man thinks women are good. The man shouted, no, Sheikhna, my wife broke my leg. I can't stand. So inshallah, there are no casualties. You love each other. And believe me, nothing is beautiful, more beautiful in the eyes of God during the nights and the days of the month of Ramadan than getting closer to each other, especially husbands and wives. during these nights. If you want to please God and really make Him happy and tell Him, I really was fasting, I really exercised self-control and self-restraint, and I really love you, and I learned something from the Quran, Quranic recitation and supplication and prayers. I learned one important thing, that I have to be close to my partner and to my spouse. You make God happy. And this is the meaning of the verse, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. You may fast so you may reach this stage of piety and righteousness and reverence. May Allah accept, inshallah, your deeds, your a'mal. Tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we begin at 8:45 with Dua ul-Iftitah and lecture. But Thursday, we're going to have our last supper here. Our last iftar going to be Thursday, and inshallah Friday is the day of Eid al-Fitr al-Mubarak, where we begin Salatul Eid at 8 a.m. sharp, but the takbirat are going to begin at 7:30 a.m. inshallah. So try to make it on time inshallah. Allahumma aghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع اللهم بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات وإلى روح المرحوم الأستاذ سامي العبيدي رحم الله من يقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلاة